Let's talk about Stims today. Look, there is no doubt that Stims have created a skill gap in Warzone, especially in Rebirth. You know, being able to effectively use Stims can get you out of bad situations. They can prevent you from even being in that bad situation. They can really start to help you finesse enemies. Now, there are 5 main ways that we can use Stims. So today, I'm going to cover what those ways are. I'm going to show you some examples, and I'm going to help you get better using Stims. Let's get into it. Now, let's quickly start off by addressing the most important thing here. Heartbeat versus Stims, which one should you be running? I get this question all the time, and at this point, I have a very simple answer for you. If you feel like you have good awareness, you understand that when you hear shots fired, you should check your mini-map to see if there's pings anywhere. You get UAVs up. You understand that as soon as you get a kill, you should check your mini-map to see where the teammates are. If you feel like you have good awareness and understand how to get information, run Stims because they are going to be a huge advantage. But information is the most important thing. And if you struggle with getting information and awareness, then I think you do need to run heartbeat sensors. That's my simple answer to heartbeat versus Stims, and it's up to you to figure out which one's right for you. Now, I want to quickly talk about one crucial component of Stims before we jump into the main ways to actually use them, and that is your best friend, if you're using Stims, is going to be munitions boxes. And the reason is, you never want to be in a situation where you need a Stim and you don't have one, or you think you have a Stim when you don't actually have one. So, when you get a kill on somebody, you do want to see if they have a munitions box. You want to try to always have a munitions box as your field upgrade. This way, you can always be running around with Stims and be confident that you have them in your arsenal to use them. Now, before we jump into the main ways here, if you are looking to get better at Rebirth, take a few seconds, just consider hitting that subscribe button down below. I'm a 4KD player. I do videos every single day just trying to help people get better at Rebirth, so just consider hitting that subscribe button down below. Now, as we're jumping into the 5 main ways to use Stims here, if you are in one of these situations, do not second guess yourself or hesitate to use a Stim. I am constantly using Stims throughout the game, largely because I'm confident that I can find more. Whether it's from floor loot, there's a ton of Stims on the floor loot right now. Whether it's from killing an enemy and picking up their Stims. A lot of people are running Stims right now, so if you get a kill, there's a good chance that you'll be able to pick up Stims off them. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, munitions boxes. So the first main way that we can use Stims here, and let's just get the obvious one out of the way. I'm not even going to show you examples for this one, although I will for the next 4. But the most obvious one is going to be your health regen. You know, you're super low health, most likely in a 50-50 situation where you're just shooting one another. You barely get that win, but you're a bullet, right? Quick Stim, you health regen. You're back to 100 health. You're not back to full health because you still got to put plates in, but at the end of the day, you're no longer just a bullet. So that's the first way that we can use Stims, and it's probably the least important in the sense of I rarely use Stims as a way to health regen. These next 4 are really the most beneficial ways to use Stims and the things that we want to focus on to get better. Now, the next 3 are all based around speed boost, which is, I think, the biggest benefit of Stims is going to be the speed boost that you get with it. Now, the first situation that we want to take a look at, or the second way that we can actually use Stims, is going to be to quickly rotate if you have to go out in the open. This is strictly based on the speed boost component, where I have to rotate out in the open. I'm very susceptible because I have no cover whatsoever. I talk all the time about constantly being aware of your cover and where you can go if you need to replate, reload, or heal up or anything like that. In a situation where we don't have that option, I'm very likely to use a Stim to my advantage here. You know, people are constantly looking towards the open areas, so I'm going to use a Stim to quickly get into that next area or rotate and get into cover, at which point I can figure out how I'm exactly going to challenge them. So let's go ahead and take a look at a quick example of this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and break down 2 clips for this way that we can use Stims, which is rotating out in the open. You know, you're caught in a situation where you don't have a lot of cover. Right here, I see one flying in backside. Now, I have the team to my right. I have this guy right in front of me, and I'm very exposed right now. So I'm going to go ahead and quick Stim, and I know this guy's flying back in, so I'm also trying to beat him before he can actually get a gun, which I end up doing. Now I get the thirst. I see one up above me in big living quarters building, so I'm going to go ahead and push, see what I can find. And again, notice as I turn this corner, I'm kind of caught in a spot where I could be pretty exposed. Now I go ahead and push up, I slide, I use the speed boost, and now I'm in a good spot to get that down and get that thirst. Let's go ahead and check out situation number 2. Okay, so once again, we have multiple teams up at Grandma's house here, and I'm about to put myself pretty out in the open, right? Right here in this moment is where I am most exposed to being shot from somebody from Grandma's house. We've all had that situation where we're trying to push up and that guy's just sitting in the top room, just looking down. So I actually go ahead and use my Stim here to speed boost to get to a point of being able to get cover. It also allows me to take a different angle. What you're going to end up seeing is that really benefits me because I can approach from this way, which is a much safer way to approach than trying to go up that main stairwell. Then I'm able to get that down and get that thirst right there. So there you see how I kind of use Stims when I'm out in the open to get to a point of cover much quicker. Let's go ahead and jump into the third way to use stims. Now, the third way that we can use stims, and in my opinion, this is hands down the most useful way to actually use them, is to use the speed boost to quickly get away from enemies. You know, you're in a situation where you get a down, you get a thirst, but you take a lot of damage, and you know those teammates are very close by. So you can use that stim and use the speed boost to quickly get away from that team, at which point you can replate, reload, heal up, and get back into that fight. This is why I specifically mentioned when it came to the health regen component, that is not my main use for it. Any situation where teams are stacking and I need to regen my health, the more important part is actually getting away from that team so that I can replate, heal up, reload, and then re-engage and get back in there and start challenging them again. You know, this is really helpful for 1v2, 1v3, and 1v4 situations, which is what we're actually going to be breaking down right here. Let's go ahead and jump into some clips. So let's go ahead and take a look at the situation right here where I'm using the stim speed boost to quickly get away from some enemies, at which point I can reload, replay, do what I need to do to ultimately re-engage them. Now I'm going to go ahead and challenge right here. I tag a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and reposition here. Take a different angle, and I'm not in a bad spot just yet, but I'm about to be. Now, as I turn this corner, I get caught with both enemies basically looking at me right on top of me, and I get absolutely smoked. Now, I am not low health. This is not a health regeneration situation. I'm already full health in terms of my actual base health. Obviously, I'm low plates, but what I'm going to do is use the stim speed boost to get to a spot where I can create distance, replate, at which point I'm going to immediately re-engage. As I turn the corner here, I challenge this first guy, do a little shimmy to the bunny hop. I challenge the second guy. That was kind of nasty. And right there, you see the first example of how I use the stim speed boost to create separation, at which point I can figure out how I'm going to re-engage that fight. Let's go ahead and jump into clip number 2. So as we kick this off, I'm going to get the down and the thirst on this guy, but I want you to notice again that this is not a health regeneration situation. My base health is full, so if I used a stim for that purpose, it literally does me no good. What I need to use the stim for is the speed boost to get away from the enemy that is pushing me. Now right here, I'm able to create some separation, create some distance, at which point I can replate. Now, could I have used another stim? Absolutely. I chose not to here. I chose to just go ahead and replate. Right here, he's on my level around the corner, so I can go ahead and re-challenge this. I'm able to get the down and the thirst right there. So let's go ahead and jump into the fourth way to use stims. Now, the fourth way that we can use stims is to use the speed boost to actually push somebody. Now, I want to really differentiate point number 2 and point number 4 here. Point number 2 is about pushing out in the open, right? You're pushing from control to prison. You are wide out in the open. There's no cover, and there's a lot of places that you can get shot from. So you use that stim to get the speed boost to get into bottom prison, at which point you're much safer. This one is about actually pushing people. My teammates need help, and I need to get there quickly to prevent them from being thirsted or prevent them from going down. So I use the stim to get the speed boost to get to that point quicker. Or somebody's holding a specific angle, maybe top prison. Hint, hint, we're going to break down an example there of somebody, you know, holding a specific angle. I need to use the speed boost to finesse them, get to them a little bit quicker, at which point I can challenge them. So let's go ahead and break down some clips. So we're going to go ahead and break down this clip of me top prison. Now, I have an enemy sniping at me. I'm in a really tough spot here, and I'm going to use a stim to get out of this situation. I'm going to use a stim to quickly be able to push this guy, make me a harder target to hit, which allows me to at least get in a position to kill this guy, and then I have to execute. Now, ignore that stim. I ended up trying to jump up, and I fail, but I'm going to use this piece of cover. This is where I start to talk about, you know, using stims to your advantage. I'm going to quick speed boost here, and he tries to snipe me, but he misses. And now, right here, we are in an equal situation. That stim made me a harder target to hit. It allowed me to push up close to him. And now we're in a situation where we're basically finessing back and forth. We're both trying to figure out a way to get a jump, and I end up getting the kill right there. So that's kind of how I use stims in that situation to push up, get closer, and challenge that enemy. Let's go ahead and take a look at another clip. Okay, so in this situation right here, we are going to need to use the speed boost to quickly get to a certain spot, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here in a second. But we have 2 teams alive. This is end circle. It's just me, and I have a team rotating from the hill, and I have a team right to my right over in these little tents. So let's see how this plays out here. I'm able to get this down right here, and now I'm going to go ahead and see what I can find back behind me. Now, I see this one. It's broken, and pay attention to where circle pulls. Circle pulls towards, you know, this part of Foursquare and kind of on this lower area. And the 2 questions you always have to ask yourself is, where's your power position? Where's your cover? In this situation right here, your power position and cover is right around this area. I have a ton of cover in Foursquare, and I'm able to hold people out of circle. So I'm going to use my stims speed boost to quickly push up here and be able to get to that spot first. and really avoid getting shot from that team that was to my right. Like, I run right past them, and now I'm in a position where I can hold everybody out of circle, trying to see what I can find. I know there's this team over here. We get the down right there. Now I see one to my left, so I'm going to go ahead and challenge. And I'm going to break. I don't use any more stims this game, but I want you to see how important it is that I use the stim speed boost to get to this position. If I don't use that speed boost, I may end up dying. Now I'm in a really good position to hold everybody out of circle. I've got a nice little heady here. I've got plenty of cover. That guy goes down. At this point, it is a 1v2 situation. The one right in front of me is down, and I get the thirst. Now it's a 1v1 situation. I see him right there. I'm going to play a little bit more patient. I get circle pull. So, again, going back, because I use that speed boost to get to this spot, I hold the first team out of circle. Now I rotate to this little heady. I hold this second team out of circle, and I get a little bit of circle pull. I'm going to see him right there. I peek this, using this to my advantage, making it hard for him to hit me, but I'm still able to see what exactly he's doing, and I know that he's not pushing. Now I'm able to hit shots right there. So let's go ahead and jump into the fifth way that we use stims. Now the last way that we can use stims, and this is hands down the most fun way to use stims, although I think this is where a lot of you need to improve the most, is breaking cameras. You know somebody's close by. They're right around the corner or a little bit ahead of you. So you're going to go ahead, use that stim, use the speed boost, slide right past them, completely break their camera, and you're able to get the down in the third. So let's go ahead and break down some clips. Let's break some cameras. So in this situation right here, I know that there's one to my left, and it's pretty obvious that he is going to chase me here. And right at this moment, I've already committed to the re-challenge. First step in the re-challenge is to break the line of sight. This is going to make it so that your enemy doesn't know exactly what you're doing. He doesn't know if I'm going to run out this door. He doesn't know if I'm going to re-challenge, which puts him in a tough spot. Now I'm going to use the stim. I'm going to use the speed boost to fly right past this guy. Make sure that you are tracking with your crosshairs. I mentioned this earlier in my coaching session, that make sure that you are not ADS'd. You want to be un-ADS'd as you are breaking somebody's camera going around them, and then you're going to keep your crosshairs centered. We're able to get the down, and that stim speed boost allows me to break that camera, take absolutely no damage. Let's take a look at another example. So in this situation right here, I just killed this guy, and I hear another enemy pushing me, and I'm in a really bad spot. I'm caught out in the open. I don't have much cover. I don't really have anywhere to go, so I have no choice but to actually challenge him here. So I'm going to use the stim, and right here, you see him jump, and look at this distance, right? This is a pretty far distance, but this speed boost really allows me to close that distance and get around that guy, at which point I still am hip firing at this point, and I'm able to get the kill right there. So you see, even at a far distance, you can still break somebody's cameras with the stim speed boost. Now we have one last example here to kind of wrap it all up. Let's check it out. So as we're watching this last clip here of how I use stims, remember the 5 ways to use stims: health regeneration, pushing if you are out in the open and need to get to cover, to quickly get away from enemies, to quickly push enemies if you need to, and of course to break people's cameras. So I hope you found today's video helpful. As I always say, subscribe down below for daily videos. Let's get better today, and I will see you tomorrow.